August 16th, 2022 at 4:05 p.m. The board members are present here at City Hall along with members of the public. With the assistance of the Communications Department and the Information Technology Department, this meeting is live streamed on the Ethics Board webpage, and we are recording it for future reference. There's a delay with online communications, and we should all be patient. We thank those members of the City of Tallahassee for their support. This time, please rise for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The floor, please. Roll.
Collins Way. Present. Brian Smith.
Present.
Ernie Payne.
Here.
Ruby Barr. Kristen Costa.
Here.
Robin Blank.
Here.
And Patrick Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a sitting quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Floyd. This time I'll review the procedures for public comment and conducting the meeting. For those attending the meeting online, please make sure your microphone is muted. Last week, we asked the public to make a request by email to ethics@talgov.com by 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting, if they wish to speak online on agenda or non-agenda items. Those who have submitted their names will be given a chance to speak as scheduled. For those of you who are present and wish to speak, please complete a request form forwarded to the Ethics Officer, Mr. Dwight Floyd. This time I'll ask the members, have you received the agenda and supporting documents? Yes to everybody? Yes, okay. Moving on to minutes for April 21, 2022. The only edit I have, minor, but just to make sense. Item 11, I'm guessing it says Ms. Blank asked the staff and board, or the staff and board are accountable to, I'm guessing? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, there's that two at the end. This makes sense. Other than that, any other comments or edits to the minutes? If none, do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to public comment on agenda items.
There are no public comments.
All right, moving on to office report.
Mr. Chair, and before I do that, just want to clarify for the sake of, we have two board members who are online, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, they don't count as quorum, but they can vote. Yes. Okay. So you can vote on issues even though you're on. On Ethics Officer Report, on this date, August 16, 2022, this report extends from the middle of June through the first week of August 2022. Much of the time was spent conducting training in person and online. We also made efforts to support the campaign contribution refund program. We maintained administrative duties concerning expenditures, weekly meetings with the board attorney and chair attorney, and we responded to ethics complaints. And I provided to you a list of training that we conducted in the 2-month period that included training with the fire department, Star Metro, and I also did one in-person training for the annual ethics training, which was kind of unusual. It was with people who didn't have access to computers. So we put it on the screen and they went through it on the screen, and I facilitated it as they went through it, and it actually went very well. Most of the, and that's it for what I've been up to, or what we've been up to the last 2 months. On the budget, we have a balance of $185,000, $185,861. So we're in very good shape. Our monthly expenditures for salary, et cetera, is about $14,000. Overall expenditures about $14,000. We have 1 month left in the budget, so we're definitely going to end up in the clear. There are one or two negative line items here, and Lucy is gonna balance those. They're just based on what was projected, and that's all it means. So she'll balance those out where it won't show any negative line items with such a marvelous balance. Any questions about the budget? Complaints on 3/4/22. Jared Willis filed a complaint. He filed a second complaint after we dismissed the first one for lack of sufficiency. And we did the same with the second one. I consulted with your board attorney Reed. He examined it and wrote a memo explaining, concurred with his finding. That one is ready for closure. I received a complaint from Mr. Sims. It was similar to early complaints. We met, and he explained to me that he talked to an attorney, and attorney encouraged him to resubmit the complaint. So I really broke down the ordinances. He said he understood them. Hopefully he understands it now. We won't be back to here again. But that one, what he was complaining about was access to City Hall. That's not in the board's jurisdiction. It's not an ethics issue. So I'm recommending closing that one. I've received a complaint from an employee who said he was being harassed and threatened, et cetera. Conferred with the Inspector General. Doing a new member orientation, I was speaking with the Inspector General's office and the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. And the Office of Diversity and Inclusion actually did an investigation, determined that the employee who made the complaint was at fault, refused to work, and they had it on tape. So it was nothing like what he said. We're ready to close that one. So I'm recommending that the board close the three said.
But Jerry Wilson's complaint was exactly the same as before?
No, I don't remember now, but do you remember?
He expanded it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the same substantive complaint.
Yeah.
Expanded on it.
Yeah, it didn't.
It was more just his different theory, same allegation, just his different theory of why it would be.
Yes.
It was really more a matter of us just explaining to him why it was not in our jurisdiction or something the board would take up.
Did we provide a memo to the board? Do they have a copy of that memo we sent out?
No,
Send them,
we can
send them.
share it.
Yeah, from now on, yeah, just copy us some memos we send out,
Okay.
so that way we're on the same page.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
But I'm recommending that you.
Is there a motion on the report?
I'll move to accept the recommendation.
Motion, a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, motion passes. Moving on to agenda item number 7.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is advisory opinion. At the request of city officials, city employees, ethics board is authorized to provide written legal opinions concerning the application of the ethics code. If circumstances require, staff may issue an informal opinion to allow the employee or official to perform his or her duties in a timely manner. Subsequently, the board will hear the request and issue a formal opinion. In this case, we did provide an informal opinion in line with what is being presented to you today, and John will present that.
Okay, we had an employee that sought an advisory opinion regarding whether she as a city employee may accept discounted rent at an apartment complex that was made available to all city employees. So pursuant to our gift prohibition, we have to look at a number of factors. One, is she a covered individual? She didn't provide enough information to make that determination. So I just moved over and said, okay, I'll come back to it. the primary issue is whether what he was receiving was a gift. And this is very similar to what we explored previously with the Verizon and the shoe company. If it's a discount that's either made to the public or to similarly situated persons, then it does not constitute a gift under the state statute's definition. So for that reason, I didn't need to go back and look at the other factors necessary for the violation, since that one obviously failed. That's all I have.
We're requesting your approval.
So yeah, it's not a gift under the statutory definition because it's available to all
Yes,
individuals.
Right.
Okay.
yes, I think if, so at the, so on page 2, we have the state definition of gift. And then I highlighted number 4, preferential rate or terms on a debt loan. And it is not either a government rate available to all similar situated government employees or officials. So because it is available to similarly situated government employees or officials, it is not a gift by state definition. And the ordinance refers to the state definition for gifts.
Any questions from the board? Here, any questions from the board online?
We need your approval and make it a formal opinion.
Yeah. There's no questions, I'll entertain a motion. Have a motion, do I have a second? Motion and second, any discussion, comments? All those in favor? Aye, those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 8.
Number 8, public relations. When I started working here, what I told people was that I thought it would take me about 3 years to fully capture this job, understand my responsibilities and feel comfortable in it. Fortunately, I would say it took me about 1.5 years. And I think I've reached that point, actually, I mentioned to someone earlier, I think June was the first time since I've been here where I felt like I wasn't playing catch up. And I could actually truly think ahead, like I'm writing the course for next year. I've already started on it now, so I won't be in crunch time next year trying to get it together and get it out. Thinking ahead on schedules, appointments, the whole works. A lot of the time it is taken up with training and conducting investigations. And I have to be available for investigations whenever they come. There are 1 or 2 exceptions, like if there's a conflict of interest, I may ask for outside assistance within the investigations. But primarily, those are 2 duties that take up a lot of the time on top of just being the administrator for the ethics board from an executive director perspective. We've discussed doing some things on social media. I actually sat with a journalist, he's a sports journalist, but a journalist nonetheless, an achieved journalist, and to get some ideas. And I had to learn terms like stitches. I know what stitches means and other things, but I had to learn what stitches means in social media and stuff like that. But what this is sort of a proposal, and I am looking for your feedback on this concept where I would pay somebody, not a phenomenal amount of money, but pay somebody and have to negotiate that, and the chair would have to approve it, but pay somebody to handle social media. And you see here is provide social media blasts with customized posts, photos, and videos using the major platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Feature informal and formal opinions, include links, photos, and videos to correspond with these opinions. There would be an approved hashtag to go across all of the platforms. Provide an explanation of the city ordinances to promote transparency and accountability. Promotion of the monthly meeting that will begin a week before the meeting and conclude after the meetings with a summary of the meetings, including the probable cause hearings, a summary of the hearings, and findings. Social media. Probable cause, so unified. All the accounts will be unified. Public relations person will monitor the engagement of likes, comments, shares, retweets, and stitches. And stitches is when somebody takes your material and use it on their account. So that would have to be something that would be. And last, either party can cancel the agreement with a 30-day notice if we don't feel like we're getting our money's worth. Or it's not, or we want to go somebody else, any of those things. Then I thought about seasonal promotions, like even the annual ethics course. There's something called SharePoint, which is an internal website that I like to take advantage of because it gives me direct access to the employees. So we can make good use of that to highlight key points. And then if we want to, the campaign contribution refund program. And I sent you all an article on that, just to kind of highlight the challenge that we have with campaign contribution finance. If you saw the article in the Democrat, it was talking about the kind of money that the electorates are able to get from various sources, and that kind of overwhelm you when you look at the $25 that we're talking about. On the other hand, it gives even more credibility, I think, to the campaign contribution refund program because you have all of that wealth on one end supporting campaigns, and the people that we would target are sort of like the forgotten people, or people who feel that they don't have say so because they don't have that kind of money. And so part of my conversation here, and I have this, part one is the first list of bullets, just a general effort with the media blast and summary of the media and all that good stuff. Part two is the internal annual ethics training. Part three, it's campaign contribution refund program. And an approach to that. And so, again, I'm not looking for the person to be a PIO, public information officer, that will still be with the chair and whoever the chair designates. This is really the person would kind of get us in the door if we want to do a public release and make sure things get out there and do whatever we decide. You know, I've just kind of gave you a starting place and wanted to get your feedback and your thoughts, starting with part one, whether you want to do it now or come back later.
So the options are A, hire somebody to do this full-time.
Well, not full-time, no, it'll be more like,
So it'll be either an employee, an outside contract, so you're looking more of a contractor?
yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, this will supplement their income. It won't be their primary income.
Okay, so independent contractor. Essentially just there to support us, and if they'll be working with you and saying, okay, this is our meeting, we had a meeting today, push us out. Be more like a retainer fee, guessing, or they're gonna be,
Yeah, what we've discussed, and I haven't really discussed it with them in detail because I want to discuss, what kind of hours we're talking about. I want to look at it from an hourly fee type rather than, and come up with a monthly payment. And we would discuss that more. You and John would discuss that more before we enter into any kind of agreement. So it depends a lot on what we actually ask them to do.
I'm gonna ask the board, do you see a need for this? Go ahead, Ms. Costa, you recognize.
I do think that there probably is a need for this to some extent. My question would be, especially with school starting back up, would this be something you'd be interested in maybe making it like an intern position? So it's not even a cost basis, or does that seem daunting to each semester have to kind of reteach the tools?
It's.
Or, I mean, it could
No,
be a
it's-
semester
it's-
position, a year position, but whatever.
It's very difficult to do that. I mean, I kind of went in that direction without a lot of success. It's very difficult because you try to get it for free, and that's not right.
Mr. Payne?
Couple things came to mind when looking at this.
Mhm.
First thing was the board discussed this several years ago before their time. And it just, we didn't discuss it heavily. It kind of died and faded away, and I really don't know what happened with it. But Richard might have some memory of it. Do you remember it at all?
Barely.
But one thing, I do think it's a good idea to have a social media presence, and I say that as somebody who never touches social media, but it's obviously something important to culture. My concern is the interactive nature of those, and you have to be very careful about what is posted at the name of the Olympics board. In terms of the idea of an intern, my experience with that kind of thing is like similar to yours, is you kind of get what you pay for. It's potentially a large responsibility, especially when we're looking to sizing the campaign contribution refund program, which definitely needs a lot of additional work on it. So it's, I guess the toughest part would be finding the ideal person that can do all of these things. But
What will be the process as far as procurement? Will we go through an ITB, ITN? How will that work for us as the board? We want to go up, first let's get prices out, see how much it'll cost us a month to have somebody retain, I'm guessing it'll be a retainer on this, for these kind of services, and then it'll come back to us to approve. We'll have to find out that the procurement process for us to go out and get some prices, some quotes.
And what is the, if we keep it under,
Category one is do you operate under the state cutoff, the categories?
what's the cutoff as far as solicitations for services?
State.
There isn't a set cutoff. I mean, we're supposed to get purchase orders if we're gonna do a contract or something. And it doesn't matter what. If it's something I can do with our P card, which is less than $5,000 a month,
But as far as solicitation, if I want to contract with somebody, is there, like with the state, if it's under 35,000 or whatever it is, or 10,000?
We have to go through a competitive process. We can just.
I haven't seen a figure that we have to do.
We'll check on
Yeah,
that.
check on that.
I'm pretty sure that the amount will be,
Less than the category one.
it's gonna be less than 15,000, it's gonna be less than 12,000.
Sounds, keep it going lower, it sounds even better. Yeah, that'd be great. So I think if I keep it. It'll give us most freedom as far as picking the best
Mhm.
out there. We're not bound by price.
Mhm.
So I'll leave it up to the board. If you guys want to have Mr. Floyd further investigate this to come back to us with some pricing and quotes, move forward, I'll leave that up to the.
And I'm not asking you to do it because I want to do it. I want you to really tell me whether you think it's.
Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, can I say something?
Sure.
I think it's a great idea. I think what Dwight, what I've seen has presented to us is a very global idea that makes a lot of sense to pursue further, and maybe we can approve for him to move forward and come back the next meeting with more details, a more refined model of what he's talking about, after he does some research. But in today's world of social media, the expertise that people have far exceeds probably everybody in the room right now. So I think it makes sense to get an expert that would assist us on a contract basis to do the very best we can with this and present a lot of moments of truth that are positive for the board, positive for the city.
Any further discussion, any comments, any motions?
I would move to proceed with the investigation and bring back some details.
Motion. Second, motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
So it's ideally next month, if not,
I'll have it next month.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 9, general update.
Number 9, general update. First, I contacted the city attorney's office about a week ago to get an update on the recommendations from the whistleblower complaints. She stated that they were on vacation until September, so we won't hear from them before September. That doesn't mean we'll hear from them in September, but that's the earliest we could expect. And I'll continue to follow up. That's all we have at this point. I moved the December board meeting to the second week in December to give you all more holiday time, so you will call the middle of time of the month or toward Christmas trying to handle this meeting. So, and I think we've done that the last 2 years, so I just went ahead and made it official this time for everybody. And then on the campaign contribution refund program, at last count, we were at 24. I talked with Mark Early, supervisor of elections, and they're putting the program on their website. I've already given them the information. They've given me a version back, and they're in the process. I haven't checked. They're in the process of, their PIO is in the process of creating something on the website. So,
The first time we do this?
yes. So,
24, how's that compare? There?
I think,
Still got time.
yeah, yeah, it's a hard edge track, and
Yeah.
I learned a lot about it. And that's all the general updates. I'll do this each month on little tidbits and that don't require votes and a lot of discussion, just, but those are the things that I have, and this does not require any board action.
Moving on to public comments on non-agenda items. I think we have one.
Yeah. Mr. Pacini?
Peter Brutzine, 1620 Brigade Way, Mr. Chairman. If you don't mind, I'll just stay seated. So I wanted to update you on what the city commission did on July 13th with regard to the lobby disclosure and registration requirements. And I've got to tell you, the news is not good. You may remember that when the city commission considered this board's lobby registration and disclosure recommendations, Curtis Richardson initially moved to ignore them completely and accept the recommendations of the city attorney, who opposed all of the important recommendations that we had made, that you had made. Such action would have been profoundly disrespectful of this independent ethics board, but fortunately, Commissioner Matlow successfully encouraged the board to at least consider, the commission to at least consider your recommendations, which you did. But nevertheless, after brief consideration, they were all summarily defeated. In an effort to ban felons from lobbying at the July 13th meeting, an action that clearly was targeting former Mayor Scott Maddox, the commission further weakened meaningful lobby registration and disclosure by banning felons from lobbying for 10 years after retreating from a lifetime ban. So they had originally proposed a lifetime ban against lobbying, but they brought it back to 10 years. But then with very little discussion, the commission voted to impose a whopping $500 per lobbyist registration fee, which is 20 times the current $25 per client fee. So the most powerful professional lobbyists, such as Drew Pearson or Drew Jones, who already avoids registration and disclosure by calling himself a consultant rather than a lobbyist, will continue to be able to get away with this. And as if they hadn't already done enough to discourage people from registering as lobbyists, the commission's latest actions really drives a stake through the heart of registration requirements. Why would anybody want to pay $500 to register as a lobbyist and then have to disclose their clients? I have found no other jurisdiction that charges such an outrageously high lobby registration fee, which raises issues of First Amendment violations in our view. By its actions, the commission refuses meaningful lobby disclosure, including clients, lobbyist compensation, the targets of their influence, and contacts with commissioners and staff. In our mind, the commission has failed to understand that the issue is not to prevent people from lobbying professionally, but rather to ensure that their activities and influence are disclosed so that citizens can be assured that lobby policy serves the public interest rather than lines the pockets of lobbyists and their clients. We appreciate this board's work. Obviously, our beef is with the city commission, which refused to take up your recommendations that you had worked for over 2 years on. It's obvious that there's a whole lot more that needs to be accomplished. We're going to continue to work with you on this issue. And if I can take some poetic license, in the words of Shakespeare, I say we need to remove this damned spot that stains the integrity of city's government. And so we will be working closely with you in the months and years ahead to finally get this problem resolved.
Ms. Butzine, any other public comments?
No, sir.
Moving on to agenda item number 11, discussion regarding the items desired in future. Does anybody have any future agenda items they want included, discuss in the next meeting? Anything we didn't discuss today?
It will be a busy month next month.
What do you got planned for us?
Number one, you'll have to do my evaluation.
That'll be fun.
And number two, we'll review the strategic plan, the annual report, we present to you for your feedback, and we'll finalize it in October. The ethics guide, we will update it. I'm talking with the treasurer's clerk about how to make it available to all of the advisory boards and groups, with hard copies and electronic copies. There may be a private meeting, I'll let you know. It was just gonna be, and I can't remember everything, but it will be a busy meeting.
All right.
Next month.
Well, I have no directives. I don't think the board has any directives at this time. Mr. Payne moves, we adjourn. Ms. Costa seconds. We are adjourned.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, John. Right.